Bihar, distinguished scholars, academicians, participants and dear students, and my colleagues. It is an honor and privilege for me uh, to welcome you all this special event in connection to the celebration of the National Handloom Day to commemorate the Swadeshi movement. As we all know, the Swadeshi movement, it was started in 1905 on this day, that is on 7th of August at Calcutta, against the Bengal partition scheme of the company government. The movement, uh, the movement was aimed at to revive the domestic production and production processes. So to mark the day, the government of India has decided to celebrate the National Handloom Day on this special day from 2015. As a Department of History, we are also aware or encouraging our students to remember these historically important days along with the event. So in connection with that, we have decided to celebrate uh, the day with the objective to connect our younger generation, younger historians with the past. Uh, so without taking much time, I am coming to the conclusion because we all are very excited to hear from today's speaker about the said topic. So I would like to conclude by thanking the college management for giving us this opportunity to conduct the event in the department, including Principal Professor Zenesius, who always encouraging us to conduct these kind of activities in the department for the students and teachers as well. I also thankful to our today's speaker, Dr. Razbi, for giving us his valuable time and coming forward to share his knowledge about Swadeshi and self-reliance in 21st century India. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation. I am also thankful to Ms. Avirupa for organizing this such event and inviting the resource person to celebrate this historical day, uh, to share the idea about the Swadeshi and self-reliance in present day India. Uh, so thank you so much, Avi, for conducting this event. And I hope that this event is a grand success and it help us, our students, to gain the knowledge about Swadeshi and self-reliance. Thank you. Thank you for your patience and listening to me. Uh, thank you all for being with us. I welcome you all once again to this special event. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was a great introduction. Now I would request our principal, Sir S.T. Genesius, to give us an inaugural address, and then we would like to begin our this lecture.
Thank you, Abhirupa, and also thank you, History Department, for organizing this program and inviting me to give this address. I also take this opportunity to thank Dr. Rasvi for coming to our college and accepting our invitation to give a lecture to our students. Now, let me also not waste your time because I'm not a historian, basically, but as a psychologist as well as a citizen of India, I can say a few things. My personal thoughts regarding this topic. Probably Dr. Rasvi will be the better person to give a critical perspective on this topic. Swadeshi movement, I studied in history as a movement started in India against the British and their selling goods, getting the raw materials and selling the goods, manufacturing in their country and selling back to Indians themselves. So Swadeshi movement was independent movement actually in the course of time, became an independent movement, saying that, okay, we can rely on ourselves. But in the course of time, it has taken a lot of drastic changes. And in today's political system, I do not know how far it is. It could be acceptable as it was in the independent era. Independent time, the Sudesi concept was entirely different. Today, we are living in a different cultural context. We are living in a different time, 21st century. We are living in a time where multinational companies are everywhere. Of course, the Indian government has prepared a concept of self-reliance, and even earlier there was agenda Make in India. But there are a lot of criticism about the government itself, that they are not relying on Indian resources, rather they are relying on cheap resources of China and other countries. There are also criticisms on Indian government's policy itself. For example, of course, I'm not talking about handloom and other things, but when we say reliance on Indian potency, Indian power, I really, as an Indian, I sometimes feel ashamed saying that. For example, take the concept of computer or a computer software. We proudly say that India has a lot of potential of computer software engineers are there, but we are not able to produce a software for ourselves, which we can rely on. Of course, there are a lot of softwares produced by Indians, but I don't know whether we can use it. For example, take the case of Microsoft Word. It's very expensive, 8,000, 9,000 rupees if you want to install the software in our system, which we use. Whereas it's already used by a foreign company, but we are not. Even though we have potentials, we are not able to rely. Or take the case of Indian government ministers. The cars they are using, nobody is using Indian car. Everybody is using a foreign car. And they like to wear foreign dresses. Foreign utensils have been used by almost all the Indian government. Then when we say reliance on Indian power, Indian potentials, and self-reliance on Indian thing, and Swadesi concept need to be redefined. Today, multinational companies are everywhere. In India, Indians are everywhere. Multinational companies are there, Indian companies are outside companies are there. I don't say Sudesi has no meaning, but it needs to be redefined. Probably a historian will say the historical development and the course of action in a crucial manner. He might give to the students of history, so that you can think the importance of Swadesi movement in the Indian history, and today its relevance in the Indian history, how we can make it more meaningful for our self-reliance, as well as to our self-glory. There's no matter what I see in India today is that we beat the trumpet of past glory and this and that, but in concrete sense, nothing is happening actually. Nothing is happening. So look at the mobile phones. Mobile market is filled with Chinese brands. Even though we say that, okay, we don't want a Chinese brand. When Chinese occupy the border area, we say that, okay, we will abolish all the Chinese, but we cannot leave. Almost all the mobile companies are majority. I don't say all. Majority of the mobile brands which we use today is coming from China. Hardly any other Indian or European companies are there. I don't know whether there is any Indian pure 100% pure Swadesi Indian self-reliance brands are there in India. I doubt. So we really need to redefine Swadesi concept. When the government proposes some concepts, it is not for political agenda, but in reality, what exactly is the situation? Probably these are the things a historian has to analyze in the historical context. As an individual, as a human being, as an Indian citizen, as a psychologist, maybe even more, I can look from a different aspect and different perspective. This is this movement and today's Make in India policy or self-reliance movement that has been proposed by the government today. So anyway, let me thank once again Dr. Rasvi for accepting our invitation and ready to offer this lecture for our students. Hope the lecture will give some insights, critical insights to the students, and the students will become critically evaluating everything that is happening in the history. Look at history very critical way. That is the goal of education, and I would say that St. John College, we are actually relying on that, critically analyzing the history and not taking anything as face value. Hope today's lecture series, which has started by history department, will pave the way for this. Thank you very much once again for the history department, and also let me invite Dr. Rasvi to give his inputs. Let me not consume more time and lessen his opportunity of interacting with the student. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful perspective. Now I would request our colleague Nubunshi Lemla ma'am to introduce our esteemed speaker.
Hello, a very good morning, everyone. I hope I'm audible to everyone.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay, thank you. So it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for today, Dr. M.N. Razvi, a very distinguished and influential person who will be talking to us on Swadeshi and self-reliance in the 21st century. So Dr. M.N. Razvi is an associate professor in the postgraduate department of history in Ram Dayalu Singh College, Muzaffarpur, under B.R. Ambedkar Bihar University, Muzaffarpur. He did his education from his higher secondary till his post-graduation from Aligarh Muslim University, Aligarh, with a specialization in national movement. He finished his Doctor of Philosophy on the topic Muslim Legislative Politics of Bihar, 1912 to 1947, from B.R. Ambedkar Bihar University, Muzaffarpur. His book entitled 1857, State, Government, and People is under publication. He has also published 26 articles in reputed national and international journals and proceedings. He is a lifetime member of the Indian History Congress and Bihar Itihas Parishad. He is a member of the executive board as well as the editorial board of the Bihar Itihas Parishad. He is currently the General Secretary of the People's Union of Civil Liberty, Muzaffarpur District, the Secretary of the Bihar University Service Teachers Association, Muzaffarpur, and also a member of the Executive Board of Gandhi Shanti Pratishthan, Muzaffarpur Unit. He was also an ex-Dokram officer of the NSS College Unit. We are very fortunate to have him here with us today. So without delaying any further, please welcome our guest speaker for today, Dr. M.N. Razvi.
Thank you, ma'am, for introducing our esteemed speaker. Sir, I would now give you the platform to begin with your lecture and encourage us to insightful knowledge regarding the Swadeshi and self-reliance.
Good morning, all of you. Honorable Principal, Professor S.T. Dubitius, learned faculties of the different disciplines of the college, brilliant and disciplined students, and non-teaching staff of the St. John College of Dimapur, Nagaland. I express my deep gratitude to the Department of History for inviting me to deliver online lecture on the Swadeshi and self-reliance in the 21st century. With the help and cooperation of Dr. Rajnikant Pandey and Dr. Vikas Shukla, who had earlier taken consent from me. Today, we all know the 7th August, and we are living in the 21st century. But we have to talk about the last decade of the 19th and the beginning of the 20th century. Here, I am recognizing the historian E.H. Carr in his book, What is History? His he tried to define that history is a continuous process of interaction between historian and his facts, an unending dialogue between past and present. Now, we are living in the 21st century, but we have to talk in about 20th century when the Swadeshi movement started. But first of all, we have to understand what is the meaning of Swadeshi. It is actually the Swadeshi word is a Sanskrit word. The meaning of the word Swa means own, Adesh, country. Actually, the exact meaning of this Swadeshi own domestic products and indigenous products we have to use or consume. Swadeshi movement, which was launched in 1905 against partition of Bengal. Partition of Bengal was a proposal, or it was partitioned by Lord Curzon, who was the Viceroy of India from 1899 to 1905. And he decided to divide or partition Bengal, and given reason of administrative reason particularly, he was dividing Bengal due to the administrative reason. But the division was totally on the religious line, communal line, and tried to divide the main power of the nationalism. Actually, the Bengal was the center of nationalist movement, and he wanted to how to crush it. For that, the exact mission of the government to destroy the nationalist feeling which was emerged due to the Bengali people of Bengali nationalists who were very, very active in the Indian National Congress, and always, because that was the center of the administration, Bengal was the center of administration from the after the Battle of Plassey, and Bengal presidency was created. And Bengal presidency was administrative, from the administrative point of view, very large. Then Lord Curzon appointed as a viceroy in 1899, it was said that Curzon knew more about India than any living man of the time. Yet he thought that he had to learn, for he said, the East is a university in which scholars never take a degree. He aimed at efficiency of administration, and trend of his mind was towards officialization and centralization. He showed a scant consideration for the feeling and as aspiration of the people, and hoped to build British rule in India on a rock of granite. When he came, India was suffering from famine of 1896-97, and the following bubonic plague had created problems. The revenue were declined, and changing times called for a thorough overhauling of the administrative machine. And the political climate of India was questioning the very right of the British to rule in India, and problem of India defined assumed new dimension in the age of rising European imperialism. Bengal presidency as an administrative unit was increasing in size through conquest and annexation, and as a result, its frontier at one point extended to settlers in the northwest, Assam on the northeast, and Arakan on the southeast. The presidency was indeed of an unwieldy size, and therefore the necessity to partition of Bengal was being discussed since the time of Orissa famine of 1866. In 1874, Assam was actually separated with 3 million people, while 3 Bengali-speaking areas, example Sylhet, Golpara, and Kachar, were also added to it. And safeguarding the interest of Assam rather than weakening Bengal seemed to have been the more important consideration behind the policy decision of this stage. In 1892, there was a proposal to transfer the entire Chittagong division to Assam. In 1896, William Ward, the Chief Commissioner of Assam, again proposed the transfer of the district of Dhaka, Mymensingh, so that Assam could become a lieutenant governor province with a separate civil service cadre, but the scheme was not favored, but only the Lusai Hills were transferred in 1897. Lord Curzon went, after coming India, went on tour of Assam in March 1900, and the scheme was researched again as the European tea garden planters demanded a maritime outlet nearer than Calcutta to reduce their dependence on the Assam-Bengal Railway. In 1901, the partition of Bengal seemed more urgently required as the census in that year revealed that Bengal population had reached 78.5 million. Curzon drew up a scheme in his minutes on territorial redistribution in India, 19 May to 1st June 1903, which was later published as the Risley paper on 3rd December 1903. It proposed the transfer of Chittagong division, Dhaka, Mymensingh district to Assam, and the Chota Nagpur division to Central Province. Bengal would receive in return Sambalpur and the feudatory estates from the Central Province, and Ganjam district and Visakhapatnam agency tracts from Madras. The final scheme was embodied in Curzon Dispatch, 2nd February 1905, to the Secretary of State, Broderick, who reluctantly accepted it without even a proper parliamentary debate. The partition of Bengal was formally announced on 19th July and implemented 3 months on 16th October 1905. It means a creation of a new province of the Eastern Bengal and Assam, consisting of all the districts of Chittagong, Dhaka, or Rajshahi division, as well as Tripura, Malda, and Assam. The new province would contain a population of 31 million, of which 18 million would be Muslim and 12 million Hindus, while the remaining province of Bengal would be having a population of 54 million and 42 million Hindus and 9 million Muslims. The Bengali Hindus would be outnumbered by the Muslims in the new province, and they would be a linguistic minority in the old, which would contain large number of Hindi speaking population. New question arises: was the partition really for administrative efficiency? Curzon administration obviously defended the scheme, but Sumit Sarkar pointed out all these arguments seems to have been fallacious. During 1903 to 1905, when the modern techniques of the petition, memoranda, speeches, public meetings, and press campaign held full sway, the objective was to turn to public opinion in India and England against the partition proposal by preparing a foolproof case against them. The hope was that this would is sufficient pressure to prevent this injustice from occurring. But government of the British India remained unmoved, despite widespread voice against the partition proposal, because between 1903, when in December 1903 proposal came publicly, the restraints of this protest can be gauged from the fact that the first 2 months following the announcement of 500 protest meetings were held in East Bengal alone, especially in Dhaka, Mymensingh, and Chittagong. Nearly 50,000 copies of pamphlets with detailed critiques of the partition proposal were distributed all over Bengal, and Surendranath Banerjee, Krishna Kumar Mitra, Prithvish Chandra Roy, and other leaders launched a powerful press campaign against the partition proposal through journals and newspapers like the Bengali, Hitwadi, and Sanjeevi. Vast protest meetings were held in the town hall of the Calcutta in March 1904 and January 1905, and numerous petitions, about 69 memorandums for the Dhaka division alone, and some of them signed by the as many as 70,000 people, a very large number of keeping in view the level of the politicization in those days. We are sent to the government of India and Secretary of their state. Even the big zamindars who had been loyal to the Raj joined the forces with the Congress leaders, who were mostly intellectuals and political workers drawn from journalism, law, and other legal professions. After all these, it was obvious for the nationalists that their moderate methods were not working, and that a different kind of strategy was needed. Within days of the government announcement, 19 July 1905, numerous spontaneous protest meetings were held in Mufassil towns such as Dinajpur, Pabna, Faridpur, Tangil, Jasot, Dhaka, Birbhum, Barisal, and it was these meetings that pledges to boycott foreign goods was taken In Calcutta, students organized a number of meetings against partition and for Swadeshi. Particularly on 7th August 1905, today, about 116 years back, the meeting was held at Calcutta Town Hall. And at 7th on today, on 7th August meeting, famous boycott resolution was passed. Moderate leaders, Surendra Banerjee, who toured the country urging the boycott of the Manchester cloth and Liverpool salt. On September 1st, government announced the partition was to be effected on 16th October 1905, and following weeks saw the protest meeting held being almost every day all over the Bengal, and some of these meetings, like one in Barisal, drew crowd of 10 to 12,000. That the message of boycott went home is evident from the fact that value of the British clothes sold in some of the Mufassal districts fell by 5 to 15 times between September 1904 to September 1905. The day partition took effect, 16 October, and was declared day of mourning throughout Bengal. People fasted and no fires were lit at the cooking earth. In Calcutta, Hartal was declared. People took out processions and band after band walked barefoot, bathed in Ganga in the morning, then paraded the streets singing Vande Mataram, which almost spontaneously became the theme song of the movement. People tied rakhis on each other's hands as a symbol of unity of the two halves of the Bengal. Later in the days, Anand Mohan Bose and Surendra mass meeting with drew crowds of 50,000 to 75,000 people. There was the largest mass meeting ever to be held under the national banner this far. And within a few hours, the meeting, a sum of rupees 50,000 was raised for the movement. Now, Swadeshi movement started, and particularly in this Swadeshi movement, the students, women, and the lower middle class involved, participated in this movement, started boycotting the foreign goods, and focused on the indigenous products. In the different parts of the country, Lokmanya Tilak, particularly in the Pune and Bombay, he led the movement, and Ajit Singh and Lal Lajpat Rai also spread the Swadeshi message. Swadeshi message. And Sayyid Haider Raza led the movement in Delhi. Hello.
Dr. Temba, please unmute. Please mute yourself.
Hello.
Mute yourself. Sorry, sir, for the disturbance. Yes, sir, you can carry on, sir.
Okay. Rawalpindi, Kangra, Jammu, Multan, and Haridwar witnessed active participation in the Swadeshi movement. Chidambaram Pillai took the movement to the Madras Presidency, which was also galvanized by the Bipin Chandra Pal extensive lecture too. And later on, the movement was then the moment boycotting the British goods, foreign goods, and focusing on the indigenous products. But some groups who were not satisfied with these methods, and they also wanted to boycott. They wanted a full-scale movement of non-cooperation and passive resistance. So this movement also gave a new concept of non-cooperation and passive resistance, and particularly through boycott of the foreign goods, boycott of the government schools and colleges, courts, titles, government services, or even the organization of a strike. The aim was to make administration under present condition impossible by an organized refusal to do anything which shall help either the British commerce in the exploitation of the country or British officialdom in the administration of it. Boycott and so many committees were established, especially Swadeshi Bandhav Committee set up by Ashwani Kumar Dutt, and the committee took the Swadeshi message to the village through magic Latin lectures of the Swadeshi songs, and physical and moral training to the members. And during the famine, by August 1906, Barisal Committee reported settled 523 disputes through the 89 arbitrations committee. And during this period, the festivals and melas try to propagate the message of Swadeshi, and particularly the Tilak through Ganpati and Shivaji festivals, and try to give message to the people about the Swadeshi and boycott movement which was going on Bengal and other parts of India. Now we have to focus on self-reliance. Now it is a very important, the self-reliance or Atmashakti as a necessary part of the struggle against the government. Self-reliance in a various fields means reasserting the national dignity, honor, and confidence. Self-help and constructive work at the village level was envisaged as a means of bringing about the social and economic regeneration of the village and reaching the rural masses. The self-reliance was the Swadeshi or national education, taking a cue from the Tagore Shantiniketan, and Bengal National College was founded with Aurobindo as a principal. And in August 1906, the National Council of Education was established. Council consisting of virtually all the distinguished persons of the country at the time, and defined its objective in this way: to organize a system of education, literary, scientific, and technical on national line and under national control. From the primary to university level, the chief medium of instruction was to be vernacular to enable the widest possible reach. And for technical education, Bengal Technical Institute was set up and funds were raised to send students to Japan for advanced learning. Self-reliance also meant an effort to set up Swadeshi or indigenous enterprises. The period saw the mushrooming the Swadeshi textile mills, soap, match factories, tanneries, banks, insurance companies, shops, etc. While many of these enterprises, whose promoters were more endued with the patriotic zeal than the business acumen, were unable to survive for long, and some others such as Achar P.C. Roy, Bengal Chemical Factory, became successful and famous. It was perhaps in the cultural sphere, the impact of the Swadeshi was the most marked, and the song composed by that time by the Rabindranath Tagore, Rajnikant Singh, and Vijendra Roy, Mukund Das, Sayyid Abu Muhammad, and others later became the moving spirit for the nationalists of all hues, terrorists, Gandhis, and communists, and are still popular. Now, Rabindranath's Amar Sunar Bangla, written at that time and was very popular, and later on it was the national song of the Bangladesh. And now I have to focus because the topic is Swadeshi and self-reliance in the 21st century. In the 21st century, the condition was not seen like in the 20th century and in the last of the 19th, when the concept of Swadeshi and boycott started. At present, we are living in the age of LPG, liberalization, privatization, and globalization. And our country is also signed on the Treaty of the World Trade Organization and GATT, General Agreement of Tariff and Trade. During the 1947 to 87, about 8 rounds of meetings took place, and after that, the whole world now, due to the globalization and due to the capitalist mode of economy, dependent on one another. And the boundary of the country was open for the economy. We have liberalized our policies, and privatization is also going on very fastly. At present, in our country, what is we have to say the present market, condition of the market, you know very well. The dearness, mahangai, it was a very, very touching point for the people. Everyone facing the price rise. And other thing, unemployment, due to the unemployment, those who are getting, after getting education, not getting job properly, and they are facing the problem of unemployment. These are the problems before the country. Now, at present, climate change is also a very big issue. Now we are facing, and during nowadays, the pandemic, Corona also disturbed whole of the world. In that situation, the concept of Swadeshi and self-reliance, we have to discuss. It was the historical part, just now we have to discuss, but now history is the unending dialogue between past and present, and the present is the result of past. We have to discuss what are the present conditions and how can we solve the present problem with the help of past information. In the 1905, the condition when students were participating too much in the Swadeshi movement. Why? Because they were, after getting education, they had not got a job. That's why they were frustrated. The cottage industry was totally destroyed after Battle of Plassey, and through the PhD advance payment, a Dadni system, and they were forced to work, and they had to throw the gumashta. The gumashta, they had to supply their products to the British company. After 1857, the industrialization, process of industrialization in India started, because the process of industrialization in England started in 1750. At that time, India was being colonized. And after that, after about 100 years, when 1857 took place, where the most of the, particularly that was led by the feudatory and the Rajas and Maharajas, but the common people were also participated in the revolt of 1857. After that, the concept of nationalism developed, because the social reform movement started from Bengal, and Raja Ram Mohan Rai, due to his own contribution known as father of modern India, and Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, and Vivekanand, Swami Dayanand Saraswati, these Jyotiba Phule, so many social, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, so such type of social religious reform movement motivated the people about self-reliance. They focused on the reform of their own society, and in the beginning, particularly the first phase of the Jalala Mohan people life, they have a scientific thought, but later on our reform movement, after arrest 1857, Swami Dayanand Saraswati, the concept of revivalism back to Vedas, just like in Europe, after Enlightenment or against the Enlightenment rationalism, the Romanticism was moment of Romanticism was started, and their slogan was back to nature. Here the back to Vedas. Such type of concept created, and concept of revivalism started, and they particularly in this Swadeshi movement, the concept of revivalism and focused on Sanatan Dharma, and through these religious thoughts and beliefs and traditions and customs, they accepted, adopted in the movement, and that's why it was the weak point of the Swadeshi movement. Due to that, the other section of the society, especially Muslims, who was alienated from this movement. But the minority of the Muslims also participated in the Swadeshi movement. But so the concept of self-reliance through the Swadeshi, actually the word Swadeshi was the seed of the Swadeshi, Swaraj, and Swatantra. Swadeshi, own country, Swaraj, self-rule, and Swatantra, own system. The concept of freedom, it was we have motivated the particularly students and lower middle classes, but it is the weak point of the needed to do business. But at present, particularly in the Corona period, Make in India concept, before that, Make in India and vocal for local, our Prime Minister gave a new words, vocal in the and our for the so it was very important, but globalization indigenous products we can't stop because we have signed with the World Trade Organization, and our products are also in other countries, and the other countries' products were also in our own country. It will be better on the quality. Not to compete in the world market, in the global market, in the global village, then we have to focus on the quality of the product. And so many legal restrictions which was imposed by government, that should be also liberated. Our capitalists should be freed to establish with the other countries on the particular focus of the quality, and without quality, the international. That's why we have to should be a quality product. After that, we have to show others. We have to also provide.
Sir, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay. Now I am going to finish my lecture. I want to do a special thanks to the Department of History and Managing Committee of this online lecture. I think students, those who want to ask some questions, I am now here on platform. Anyone who wants to ask any questions?
The platform is now open for the students. If you have any queries, you can ask sir.
Thank you, Nirupa and Hansek. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Any questions?
So participants are requested to raise your question in chat box, or you can unmute your microphone if you have any doubt or any question.
Any doubt, any question? No. Okay. Any question?
Maybe Mukhtar and Abhirupa, you can ask some questions.
Yes, yes, sir. So my question is for our topic today, Swadeshi and self-reliance. Yes,
Yeah.
it's true that on a higher level, we cannot dispose of the products that is coming from the outer world. But from individual states, we have a lot of prospects that can be taken into consideration. So my question is, from a grassroots level, what our country can do, from where we can begin by starting to adopt this Swadeshi or the self-reliance to make the economy better, prosperous, and effective.
Our country is particularly the village are known for the self-sufficient economy from the very beginning, from the ancient time. And locally, regionally, every part of the country have some specialization in the art and craft and the production. So we have to give a preference, particularly through group of government agency, should be active and give support to these art and craft and particularly indigenous products to promote. I think it will be better to promote those who are masterpiece products in the local level. And every region of this country has have a specialization. So we have to promote that products. Okay, next one.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Okay, anyone?
Anyone who would like to ask a question, you can leave your question in the chat box, and sir would be really happy and glad to answer your question. So if you have a question, you can ask him. Sir, I suppose none of us
Okay.
have a question.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
so yes, sir.
Yes. No, I think it's okay. Yes. For me too, I think it's okay. We received a lot of information from him, and thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing your ideas and knowledge with us. I feel that our students they will be enriched with the concept of Swadeshi and self-reliance in present context to present day India. So I think, yeah, for me to
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
So with this, we come to the end of our first lecture series that was conducted by the Department of History. So I take this time to thank firstly Sir Razvi for giving us his precious time, joining with us today, and giving such an insightful lecture on Swadeshi and how we have a scope of being self-reliant and how we should try to adopt such self-reliant methods in our lives. Thank you so much, sir, for your lecture. We have individually gained a lot. It was a very informative lecture, and I hope that the knowledge that we have received from you today, we can impart to our students tomorrow. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I also take this opportunity to thank our principal, sir, who have constantly supported, helped, and pushed us to the brim of doing good work and to conduct such lectures. And my HOD Mukhtar sir, who has constantly supported us for doing good work for us to grow in this department, to gain knowledge with his immense work that he has done in his own personal field. And I also thank Nungshi Lemla ma'am, who has also given so much of support, help to make this lecture a grand success. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, sir, again for joining with us, with our college, and giving us such a insightful lecture.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.